pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For leading us. Welcome, everybody. This is the May 19th, 2026 meeting of the Chatham County Board of Elections. All of us board members are present in the county board. We have a quorum and the meeting is called to order. Has everybody had a chance to scan their agenda? So we have. No, I'm gonna make one minor addition to new business. There is a draft of a letter that the Williams County Board of Elections has sent in to the chair of the Senate Elections Committee, urging the increase in the view time for provisional ballots from 35 days, which is something that we've talked about. And I know the state board is concerned about. And the thought is I'd added as agenda item number 5 to just sort of review their letter, have staff make appropriate changes to have it come from Chatham County, and if they're all in agreement to make the sign it to send it on behalf of the board.
This is new business.
New business number 5. Letter to Senator Warren.
Well, I do have a question about the closed session, but I missed my opportunity to say something about it.
Is it appropriate for here, or is it appropriate
I'm
for saying in closed
questioning
session?
I'm questioning the appropriateness of this material being in closed session.
It is because of security,
It doesn't look like standard security,
but there's some other things that not being said in that paperwork which you have.
but the paperwork is not, that looks like public information. It's hard to know how to talk about this, but, this is the first I've seen of the information about what we're doing in the closed session.
It was on the agenda when it was sent out. Did you see that?
I did not see the explanation of what we were doing in the closed session. It just said closed session.
Okay, you did not have the approved minutes and
Yes, I saw the minute.
did it say, did you see the part where they discuss election security?
Yes, but it
Okay.
didn't say what the election security issue was.
That would be discussed in closed session.
I assumed it meant things like doors and security and stuff. I did not think it referred to how we handle the ballot, which I thought was a public thing, not a.
But it wasn't
Closed
a
session.
session law. It's fine, of course.
It's in the closed session hall.
I think that of that sheet.
It's got the statute here. 143-318.11.A1 is for the minutes. And then A9 is for the discuss election security measures, which is talks about the emergency plans and anything that we're doing that will force security of the election that we don't want the public to know.
So what we're going to be talking about is how we keep track of our ballots and our audits for every day. And if this gets out to the public of how we do this, it creates a lapse in security. Because then they're aware of how we process it, and someone with a tamper with the way that we process our audits. It gives them the opportunity to do it. Do I think they would? No, but it's always a risk if we put it out there and open. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
I would handle balance.
For early voting daily, how we keep the audit process.
And
moving.
how we keep the early voting sites secure.
I understand physical security, but
What's in the room that we have to secure? The stuff that's in that room, you know, when we close the early voting site, we have to have a locked room where we keep the voting machine, where we keep the laptops. They've added some questions about that we don't want to discuss openly.
I ask a question, maybe in middle of the road, so it should be. Yeah, I don't have enough information to know exactly the details we're going to talk about in the closed session. I assume that it was something important. If we do the closed session today and we feel like this should be in the public domain, can we talk about it at the next meeting? Say this is what we talked about. We can be in agreement. That way because I haven't seen what.
Or it's possible that the minutes that are taken back to the public, if we determine.
We don't have ballots that should be public, but we haven't had that discussion.
We did go in closed session one time for emergency planning. Because we didn't want anybody to know what was happening when we bring the ballots back to the office. As far as chief judge coming back, we talked about our emergency plans, should something happen, and we did that in closed session at one of our meetings.
This seems a little different. This looks like, how do we handle our ballots? How do we secure our ballots?
This is
And then it's sort of our standard procedure.
I don't know how to make you understand it, I'm sorry.
Well, we haven't had the discussion yet, so
Yeah.
we kind of don't know. What's it gonna be this? Yeah.
I think we could feel like it was going to be. In the street, but this stuff here is not what the questions that was asked to us.
There's more questions that are being brought up that we were going to answer in closed session.
So let's do this, if it's okay with you, Lori, let's do closed session, if we determine that that the minutes that are taken as a result of that. Don't need to be in closed session. We'll go to make them public and include them in our minutes.
I just think we need to keep in mind that we need to be doing everything we can to be as public about what we do as possible. That's where we get confidence in our elections.
Yep.
By being public.
I do too. If I felt like we weren't, I probably would have never put it on the agenda.
I don't know, like, I added to a chair, member Heisey's spot on. But it's something that you feel is important that we should maybe, like, so I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt we're talking about. And we can even give a little report to the next time, okay, we had public closed session and we decided that it's okay, and this is what we talked about. In addition to that. And so that's middle of the road.
We will proceed on that basis then. So we've added one item for new business to the agenda without revision, not addition, that we haven't made it to the agenda.
I'm going to let you assume to the agenda.
So second,
Second.
all in favor? Thank you very much. Moving on to minutes from the April 21st meeting. Try as we might, we do try to keep these to like 2 pages, but last meeting or two, we haven't been able to do that. Frank said, yes. Moving on to the minutes from the last meeting, has everybody had a chance to review them, and if so, are there comments from any board members? Done, Bob? Yes, we're good. Okay. All right, so motion to approve the minutes from the April 21st meeting. Future minutes from the April 21st meeting. Is there a second? Lori, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you very much. We now come to the portion of our meeting where we invite public input. Is there any merits?
Can I make a comment about what we just decided?
Yes.
This discussion. As a member of the public, I think in this particular situation, I think the security of the election materials and the procedures that you follow in this particular context politically, I would go with what the staff recommends. and it's purely a personal opinion, I'm not representing anybody, but I just think if they think that there are lapses or potential lapses or whatever else it is that think you're gonna talk about, maybe, I would defer to their professional opinion.
I appreciate the comment. Anyone else? Okay, moving into old business. Oh, that's for later. Moving into old business, we're gonna get a brief fiscal, well, it's actually fiscal, is it for this fiscal year or for next fiscal year?
For, next fiscal year.
Yeah, so 26, 27. So we'll be after the fact adjustment to the,
Yes.
to the agenda. So, okay, Chance, you have the floor to talk about, status of the budget that's under consideration by the county commissioners.
All right. As we were told by county management, that's what the tight budget year for Chatham County. And that being considered, we feel like that our office, was fortunate to get what we did ask for. We didn't get everything we asked for, but we are making the case for, the next fiscal year to help us get to where we need to be. But I'm gonna go over some key budget dates. May 18th, yesterday and today, there are public hearings that are happening. Today, the meeting in Siler City. I do know that, we did have a member from the public call our office and wanted to know if they want to speak on our behalf because we didn't get our full-time position. I don't know if someone has spoken about the elections in the public inquiry, but, I do know the commissioners are aware of our concerns. So May 21st, 22nd, and 27th, there's county work sessions. I know that on May 21st, in the past, the very first work session, I know that Board of Commissioners usually adopt and finish off with the first work session. Currently, we're not there to make any public comments during this go around. So that if you want to join May 21st, 22nd, 27th, and on June 30th, the county commissioners adopt our fiscal 27 budget. In this budget, we did get our one part-time position. So we are excited that we're going to have a permanent part-time position. This is, we needed this position up at the front to handle list maintenance, assistant voter registration, and all around office duties, including reviewing absentees and all around position for a part-time, which we're very happy that we get that. We did get an increase in our pay for early voting party judges because they were making the same as assistants, but being a party judge, you have more responsibilities. So they're going from $13.50 an hour to $14.50 an hour to create a more balanced pay structure within our judges, assistants, and chief judges for early voting. So also in the budget, we did ask for 5 positions to be reclassified. Originally, 2 of our positions were approved for reclassification. We brought this up to our board, and then there was a letter that was wrote, and commissioners and the management reconvened and said 3 of our positions will be reclassified. And reclassification for the county means increase in pay structure. So we do believe that this will help our office get be where we need to be with other departments internally and externally. So we are excited about that. Also, the county manager's office is recommending a 3% raise for all county employees. That would be much needed, especially with the cost of living adjustment raise. But as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, we did not get our full-time election program specialist. This position would have focused on absentees. We will recommend this position be approved the next fiscal year, and we will strongly push to reclassify the 2 other positions that were not reclassified to meet the correct pay grade that we believe in our office is right for them. So that's where we stand.
So I would just comment that I think, we asked for a lot.
Yeah.
This year, we needed to ask for a lot. And we got a lot of what we asked for,
We did.
which is a good thing. It's, we're a little bit of a bastard child because we're a state agency, but we're part of it, but it's a county budget. Which puts us in an odd position from a funding perspective.
Yeah.
So the dance is a little bit different that we do with the county managers.
Yeah. So process overall was very received, and we are very grateful for what we've got. And I know hopefully the budget, the county will be more balanced next year, and the county will be able to have more expansion items to be approved.
Any other? I knew there were going to be some. Okay, Lori.
I'm just curious about whether, was there any result to your letter?
Yes, there was.
What was the result?
Reclassified up 2 or 3 slots.
Okay. Do we know what slots are reclassified? Is that a private?
The number, what is it, up to 58?
That's 64.
64.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, so
what
it's
was
61.
Who, what?
The position was a classified at pay grade 61 is all, and jumbo to all of y'all, I'm sorry. But we were able to, we got the position to where we want to be reclassified to.
You guys are so vague. I mean, it's.
Because some of that was a closed session for the last meeting.
Okay.
So in the code, they got pay raises for several people in
Yes,
office.
very beneficial.
This, that's what this means.
Yeah.
And, I might, for just add an editorial that by default, we're treated just like a county agency because that's how they treat the other county agencies. And I submit to this body, we're not a county agency, we're a hybrid state / county agency, and we dance to the tune of what the state tells us to do. So, job well done. And,
That's why we have we dance a different tune.
Big time.
Yeah.
They consider us as county, but we're not.
They consider us Parks and Recreation and treat us as such. And so it was a job well done to do the persuasive stuff.
And I just want to say, I apologize for issue our big, but it was a closed session. So we're able to say what we can. So we're very happy. And that is it for the budget update. And I can move into the director's report.
Sure. New business item number 1. You have the floor still, Chad.
All right. So campaign finance, the same as last month. So we're in a quiet period right now, for my end, but on second quarter, still, if you're spending money or in a campaign from February 15th through June 30th, you will file the report on July 24th of this year. So that's anybody that's over the threshold of $1,000. So come July, we'll be busy with a lot of reports being brought into the office. So voter registration statistics. So currently we have 64,157 registered voters in Chatham County. Out of that, there was 20,944 Democrats, 29 Green parties, 303 Libertarian, 14,991 Republicans, 27,890 unaffiliated. On the month of April, we had 301 new voter registrations. For May, so far to this day, we've had 101 new registrations. And Marlon, if you want to bring up, this is the graph that shows you the new registrations by month, and it's broken down by party. So this is where we are when I printed this out, actually May 14th, with the data that we have. Up to date on how many Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated voters. As unaffiliated, just continues to be the largest new registration for the county.
Do you know how many voter registrations we had in 2022 that are about this time?
In 2022, we have that data that we're working for when we talk about early voting plans.
Does it have new registrations in that? Though?
No, just few firms are registered.
Right, okay.
And if you want to talk, so when we talk about voter registration repair numbers, I don't know that. Yep, right here. So a question is asked, and I promised members of the public we will have this data during this board meeting. So voter registration repair numbers. So there's 536 altogether, but out of the 536, if you break it down, there's 141 potential provisional voters. This is people who registered after 2004. So these voters will need to verify and update their registration information before election day. there's 395 who need, who were registered prior to 2004. So there's a larger number before 2004. These voters should update their registration information, to ensure voter records is accurate, up to date. So the first section, the ones who registered after 2004, they, I believe a letter was sent out to them 2 weeks ago. Is that right, Pandora? But those are the ones that are really trying to aim at when they were after the law was enacted in 2004.
So are they exclusively folks who either didn't put a driver's license number down or the last four of the social?
That's correct.
That would require the higher.
Or if they did, it didn't match.
Okay.
The 536, and I wanted to let you all know, the public, that you can access this daily and see the numbers. And just in case if people are not aware, Marvin, if you want to go to the State Board of Election website, if you typed in voter registration and repair, the repair project, that's registration repair right there. And if you click on registration repair, Marvin,
Brings you to that page.
and scroll down to the magnifying glass. Right there. And then type in, I'll filter by Chatham. And it can give you a list of all
Give
of
you
them.
a number. Over
So if anybody wants to do outreach and, help us get these, voters repaired, that would be great. You may have already been doing that. So, that helps us come, November 3rd, we'll have less provisional, there'll be less headache at the polling sites for the poll workers. And then,
Go ahead.
So talking about the 395 that registered prior to 2004. It caught me off balance because HAVA was enacted in 2004,
just what that is, yeah.
which says social security number, driver's license number. These are people who registered prior,
Mhm.
so they didn't have to abide by those. So why do they have to abide now? Do we know?
So.
These are grandfathered in.
Yeah, so North Carolina's trying to be compliant with state law, not state law, federal law, my apologies. And, they are reaching out to them. We had a huge batch that was notified right before the primary. And one of the biggest things about these letters they're trying to correct, which led to a lot of confusion to the voters, was I've been registered since the 1970s. I've been registered since the 1980s. Why are you all trying to remove me? And that's what we said. We're not removing you. We're just updating your information. And when they go vote, they would be able to update the registration information there. They're not being just qualified voters. The 395 will be able to be taken care of.
What if they don't comply?
You know, peeps in them letters.
Yeah. I don't know.
But you see, they weren't under the rule that they had to comply. I'm just asking a probing question. I don't know the answer I'm asking.
And I believe that's a bit of an evolving question, if I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe that right now, if they go to vote, they would vote and they'll get a chance to update their information and they can vote a regular ballot. These voters can.
Yeah.
And some of them did correct it during the primary.
The 141 that are after 2004, they need to or vote provisionally if they don't prior to election day.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you prior to 2000.
Oh, then they can vote. If they update the information at the site, they'll be able to vote a regular ballot.
We'll stop worrying about if they give us the information.
But
We're
they can
allowed
vote
to
regular.
ask them for the information and they're allowed to decline it.
Yeah.
If they get tired of us asking for it, they can provide it.
So what's gonna happen? Out of that 395, you're gonna have one knucklehead or two.
There'll be more than one.
Well, 10.
Yeah, there's no issue with them
And
voting.
they're gonna say, no, I've been voting, blah, blah, blah. And it's,
Yeah. But they're gonna keep asking, like Bob said, they're gonna get tired, but that's their job, and they will eventually, I'm pretty sure we'll knock out half of these after November 3rd, if they are accurate registered voters and they still live in the county. So, they vote regularly, they will be.
Do we have any idea how many folks willingly updated their information when they were asked to last, primary election day?
I don't have that data on me, but at least something that we could look into.
I mean, even, I don't know that we need the accurate numbers, but do we have a sense that there was a lot of voluntary compliance?
We did have several,
We didn't have anybody, I don't think that be not.
yeah. If they were asked, most people did provide, no, all of them did. So,
Because didn't you have something more like 800 or 900 voters at the beginning of
oh,
this?
we did, yeah.
So you cut it down quite a lot.
We have, yeah. So. And, then moving right into list maintenance, keeping our voter registration rolls up to date. Lynette Bagwell, who works up at the front, she has been taking on list maintenance and she tells me she loves it. It's something that she loves to do. And this is, removing voters who have passed away or they moved out of county or if they are being convicted of a felony. So we are staying up to date. And Marvin has brought up the graph right here. So in the month of April, we had 4 duplicates, 84 death removals from felon. As of today in May, we had 16 duplicates, 34 death removals, and 2 felony removals.
And become aware of the necessity for duplicate removals.
So we get a report the state provides us, and duplicate voters or someone who's registered here or Durham or Orange County. And so Lynette's been reaching out to these counties and getting voter registration proof that we do know that it's the accurate voter, that social and driver's license matches. Because a lot of the duplicate voters that we have this month, we've been doing extra research because they're not exact matches. So we have to do more research and reach out to the counties to verify that that is actually the voter before they're removed.
When I sat with you, one thing that caught me by surprise was 17-year-olds that registered today. And then they register what, at school or something?
Most of them.
Or they come here at school,
Yeah.
and then when they're 18 to go get their driver's license, they're registered again. At the DMV. And so there you have a duplicate because they're registered at the school, and then boom, boom. And so when I sat with you, you were able to figure that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
A
That
lot
caught me.
of times when the voter registers on the application, at the bottom of the application, it has your previous information where you were registered. So we'll enter that into the system and it'll show up, that'll show up as a duplicate also.
Yeah, really.
As you may know this from, I'm spent in Raleigh. What does the state board do, if anything, coordinating with other states to find out if there are duplicates from other states, somebody registered here, somebody registered in another state?
And so at the time that I was there was only certain states that we would take acceptable information from. Some states didn't comply with North Carolina standards, but states like Virginia and South Carolina, they would send us list maintenance reports. And then we would delegate them to each county and say, this is how many people that we have in your county that need to be removed. And so we just take that list from the state that's approved. Now, it's down to ever evolving, changing lists in which states are approved. I'm pretty sure it's either grown or got smaller. But at that time, I think like there were 16.
But those are defined as duplicates also, yes.
They are, yeah.
Okay.
Follow up on that. There's something called ERIC, ERIC, which Brinsonville said we should cooperate and join. There was a big, they had conflict because there's something, anyway, that's a national program where we share our voter registration data with the other ERIC states. They were like half the states, but there was a private organization and there was something not right about it. Like they shared information. For example, if I register, on my registration says my information won't be shared with third parties. They were sharing information with third parties.
Yep.
And a lot of people in this state thought that was a no-no. So there is a mechanism to do that, but it's private and the state elected not to participate. That was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Different there.
Chance, what about the SAVE Act? Cooperation between our state and.
Pandora's gonna talk
Oh,
about
okay.
that, yeah. But actually, that finishes up my report, so that goes perfectly into Pandora's segment.
Okay, so, the first thing is the identification of deceased individuals on voter rolls through federal database comparison. So the North Carolina State Board of Election, they have identified approximately 34,000 deceased individuals on the state voter rolls following a data comparison with the federal systemic alien verification for entitlements, the SAVE database. On April 17th, the NCSBE submitted 7,300,734 voter records to the SAVE system. The North Carolina State Board of Elections will follow established procedures to verify records and will work with county boards of elections to remove deceased individuals from the voter rolls in accordance with state and federal law. Now, these processes include cross-checking additional state and federal databases and providing due process. The voters who have passed away in North Carolina State Board of Elections receives information from North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. Process that occurs weekly and is handled at the county level. We are currently doing that now. This new process of matching state voter records with the state database where the result shows a person is deceased in federal records will help identify those voters who registered at one time and then moved, passed away to another state. So right now, we have not got any further guidance. We just all know there's still that 34,000 people that they have identified, but they have not let us know how many Chatham County has or any other
So
county.
you have no list to work with at this point.
Have they told us when they expect to be providing that data?
No.
What's the, turnout for these voters?
You mean, when you say Chatham,
How many of us voted?
I don't know. I mean, we don't have any other data. I mean, this is all we were given.
So you've got partial data, you got 34,000.
Yeah, it's
They have,
34.
they have
For the
partial
state,
data, we
it's for
don't
the
have.
whole state.
We have, well, we know, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you, but wait a minute. So there's a couple follow-up questions. What interval? I mean, did all these die in the last 6 months, or has it been a 20-year interval?
No idea.
They're all out of state or in state?
Don't know.
See?
They just don't, they identified 34,000 individuals on the state voter rolls. So that's throughout the whole state. Out of all the 7,397,734 voter registrations.
There's probably not a very good process to keep up with the people that move away.
It's not,
In California or where?
we don't know when they pass it, well, because we only use the, North Carolina Department of Health. And Services, also the register of deeds. If the person dies in North Carolina, then we will know that.
Well, theoretically we would, but we don't, but we don't know. Obviously, out of state is going to be a significant portion of those folks, but we don't know how many of them are in state and then maybe haven't. In North Carolina.
Sometimes,
In
yeah,
depth,
right.
in state.
So there are a whole bunch of follow-up questions that we're asking, but we have, no clue what the answers are.
But there could be some in state where the data doesn't match exactly, and we don't remove them because we're not sure if this is the correct individual.
Well, then there are two other follow-up questions. I guess I'll do this, but maybe I shouldn't, but I'm gonna do it because I talk too much, but is it active? Are they indeed dead? Are they not dead?
You know?
And then are they all citizens or non-citizens? Isn't that the reason for the shared database? Say shared data, are they US citizens or non-citizens? I guess it doesn't matter if they're deceased.
Well, I think based on the commentary that at least I've seen quoted in some of the publications, I think yeah, I mean, identifying non-citizens on the voter rolls was the primary purpose, and I think they were surprised to find, wow, there are 34,000 reportedly dead people on the list.
Maybe if they're not citizens, maybe it doesn't count as a death.
Okay.
What? So,
Just throwing things out.
poor Pandora's trying to get through a report, but I have done a lot of reading about the SAVE database. And it is set up essentially to provide federal services to the aliens. That's the second layer of SAVE. It has been tried in Texas and in Missouri, and they have found enormous problems with the database, especially with naturalized citizens. And Jeff Carmen said this in a state board meeting. I think he's from Ghana, born in Ghana, Ghanaian. His birth certificate is in Ghana. He's a naturalized US citizen. And he said this is leading up to a move to keep immigrants from voting.
But because the save database is the only one that exists that tracks this information, there are gonna be a lot of problems forthcoming from dependence on the state.
So this is gonna be huge.
Huge problem.
That is gonna come back, and then we're gonna ask to verify, and that's gonna be the acid test.
Yes.
So if they call you and say, check on these 100 people, and they're all citizens, you get bad data. But if you check on these 100 people and they're all non-citizens, then it's good data, and you may find something partial in between. You're gonna do the verification. I'm gonna be very interested.
Well, we're gonna be involved in that.
Yeah,
Yes, we are.
If you've read any of the regulations on this, that have been published and haven't been finalized yet, there is a significant due process component to verify whether that data is in fact accurate. That you carry out on a county by county basis, and we act on that in our quasi judicial capacity.
Well, let's be specific. People on that list will get one postcard in English. And if they don't respond to the postcard, they will be assumed to be non-citizens. If they are citizens, we would go into a challenge. Work that way. That's the current process. So this board will have a lot of board meetings and a lot of I think, trauma for people who appear on these lists. But for the time being, that's the situation we're in. Can't change that. We're going to have to be fair and transparent in how we handle anything coming out of the safety.
Further comment before we let Pandora continue?
Well, just one more question. Pandora, are people at the state level in contact with the county boards about, or the county offices about where they are in this process? Are they
This is where they are right here. They're probably working on it, but they're not gonna give us anything until it's solid and, before they push anything out.
Do you have any sense of the timeline? Are they trying to get this done before the election? I have no idea.
No, it's in front of the review legislative review.
what is?
I never worry about it until it comes to.
The motion that was passed, elected the whole to reopen the state.
So I guess there's one other probing question we could ask. We know the credentials or the individuals in Washington DC that they sent in the 7 million voter records. Anyone in this room know? I know when I sit with Chance Mashburn, we do list maintenance, this access good that he works at. So I like working with local, wherever, we don't know who this is going. It's going to the Department of Homeland Security, whatever that is.
Erica, what about the SAVE Act that's in legislation sitting before the general assembly?
Not the General Assembly, the legislative. Any policy that is approved by the state board goes to a state government body called the review committee. So they're reviewing the state board.
So what it is they've got proposed regulations that have to go to the legislative review committee.
Or how they will handle. the
Well,
SAVE Act
or basically
information.
for approval of the procedures that we're going to use in connection with these deep procedures. So they don't become official until they pass muster at the legislative review.
Which is likely.
Okay, Pandora.
Okay, on another note. Congratulations, Marvin, for completing the new directors training at the state board of elections. And we're proud of you, Marvin.
Thank you.
On Tuesday, April the 28th, the North Carolina Association of Directors of Elections and North Carolina State Board of Elections held a legislative day. And Chance and Sarah went. That day was a day of advocacy aimed at educating legislatures on North Carolina elections and securing key policies and funding achievements. You want to just give us a brief synopsis of what Don delivered that day.
So the state board organized this, and what connected us with our representatives. So we got to meet with Robert Reeves and, Sarah and I met with representatives that were not ours, just to get a different perspective. They set up in Surrey County with one of them, and just to advocate for election administration and how we could make the process a little bit, or not a little bit, a lot smoother for, us and the voters. And, we both stared out locally, that real received. And it was a great way to inform legislators who all both turned to us and said they didn't realize, and they were very thankful for us to be there and considering. Um, they want to continue to do more legislation days. I think it's official, gives the chance to, talk to, our legislators, let them know how elections need to be administered. And, nobody knows it better than election administrators, so.
Was the push for extra days to review provisional?
That was the major push.
That was one of your big pushes.
Yeah.
What else would you advocate?
So we were advocating for that. That was our main push that the state board was doing.
Were these folks, any of them senators or representatives, the elections committees in either house, or were they just?
Or not who we met, but other counties advocate someone.
These are just some important dates again, and deadlines. Of course, filing for soil and water begins June 8th, ends July 6th. Chatham County is having, of course, to celebrate America 250. And the Board of Elections will have a space at this event to provide voting information at the Agriculture Center. And that's on June 27th at 10 o'clock, from 10 o'clock to 2. So, we will be there with a table and information. We may even take our voting equipment, especially the ADA machine. So there's some people that would come and would like to see that. So we'll have that.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
The mobile unit for taking pictures to make the, photo ID cards, can you?
We can bring the voting ID machine. I think we plan to do that.
I think you have done that last year at a library.
We do.
This is what people.
Hopefully. And, of course, the write-in, signature petition sheets are due, this office on July 21st. Early voting plans, of course, are due July 24th. And, of course, the board will be discussing those plans tonight and maybe vote on the plan. And then, of course, the write-in signature sheets along with the declaration of intent for write-ins has to be submitted to the state board by noon on Wednesday, August the 5th. And then, of course, we have a summer conference, August 9th to August 11th, at Sheraton in Greensboro. And then, of course, the deadline to adopt the resolution to alter precinct will be September 18th, but we plan to do that today, so. That's all I have for right now.
Any questions from board members before we move on? Seeing none, we will move on to the next item, which is something that we talked about previously. We've had to use the West Chatham Center for Active Living as the temporary polling location for our West Island City precinct, and it has been. It is out of the precinct, and so we've been using that for I think about 3 years now. On approval from the state board to do that. We are now going to proceed to actually, in effect, annex 2 adjacent census tracts so that that center will, in fact, a part of the 85 West Cyrus City. So have in your packets a memo, a resolution that you all can read along to that talks about the need to do this, and board members in their packets have the maps of the census blocks that are there. Actually, that's probably more
The
important.
maps.
Yeah.
And,
So
Is it the proposal map or the change?
You talk about 2 census tracts.
There are 2 census tracts that basically,
The third one.
in order to meet the continuity requirements of the statute, we have to glom onto, into the the 85 West Side City precinct. So they're the ones in yellow. There are 2, there's a small one, where the polling place is, and where the star is, and then there's a bigger one that we want to the next, in order to make it contiguous. And that's a requirement under the statute. And procedurally, this board needs to approve that, and then we send it up to the state board, and then the executive director of the state board will approve that.
So the question, the 2 yellow census blocks will become part of the pink west side of the city?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm just, what's the definition of a census block? That means, that there are people living there?
There are 5
What is that?
residences there. There are 5, there's the addresses.
Oh.
That's the only ones it will affect. So,
So it looks like there's no residential in the census block where the center for active living is, but in the adjacent census block there are.
They just moved the bigger one with the 5 residences so that it's contiguous.
Correct.
And it might be beneficial because they're right beside the West Siler Senior Center, Senior Center, active living. So they probably were wondering all for this past several years, why I had to drive all the way to Earl B. Pitts or National Guard Armory, but I live right beside of the senior center, so.
So you think you're gonna make this a permanent, and this is a public building?
Yes.
So good.
It's a senior citizen center. For my 6 months. Yes.
Yeah, and there's been, apparently there's no other suitable place in the precinct, which is why we've been using this process for a number of years.
and they're done with the renovations and we will have open house next. June, but yeah, June, it's in June, so we'll be back in there. For the-
So that being said, go ahead.
This is a place that was closed.
Right.
They were renovating. Okay, we're in there. Got it done. Time to get it done.
Did you have something else you want to say, Bob?
No.
Okay. So we have this in the packet, and we'll all get together and sign this after the meeting, so that'll be one fully executed copy, but I would move that we approve this resolution.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you, everybody. This copy is the one we use for this.
Yes. Everybody will sign it. We will try to- Just amazing.
All right. Moving on, the next item of business is our early voting options for the fall elections to be held on the election day is November 3rd. And I think there are really 2 issues here. One is early voting locations. And the second is dates and times that we want to have early voting locations open. Let's tackle the location issues first. That would be,
This is table marriage.
this one?
Yeah.
And I'll let Chance, if you want to lead us through this.
Then my step. It's, the map, 5 sites.
That's fine.
Okay. So as you can see here, the Chatham County, we only have 5 early voting sites. So we've reached out to our GIS department to see a 10-mile radius of how many voters are at each site. And so this map, you can see Early Pitts, the Ag Center, Golston Town Hall, New Hope Baptist Church, and Health Science Center. You can see the New Hope Baptist Church and the Science Center overlap, which is great. So it's a busy area as well as the Ag Center. Comparative wise, and out of all of those voters, in Chatham County, we only have, 1,513 that are not in a radius. So within a 10-mile radius, which that is, less than 2%. So we are really good when it comes to reaching out, for voting locations.
So those primarily are the yellow locations, lower right, lower left, and there's a tiny sliver of it in the northern.
At the Health Science Center in a 10-mile radius, That's 42,113 voters. So 66% of our population lives near the health science center. Ag centers 34,000 at 54%. Governor's Village is, if we had that site, it'd be 32,000 people, 51%. New Hope Baptist Church is 29,179. Earl Fitz, 12,193 at 20%. And the Goldston Town Hall, 7,685 at 12%.
So I don't know that we want to, that we even, why don't we pop up the green map?
The 6 lives.
So this is presidential year, 6 sites. That's when the government site was added last year, when 2024. And I think the previous presidential election, we had 6 sites, is that correct?
Yeah, in 21.
Okay. And then interestingly enough, I mean, it handles, because you have so much of the voting traffic is up in the northeast part of the county. But it only reaches an additional 200 plus or minus plus registered voters in the county when you have the 6 site, just based on where it's located. So it doesn't really get us much more except to deal with how busy it is. Do you both agree with that?
So may I make the comment about voting sites? You don't know how I feel about private real estate versus public real estate. And Governor's Village and New Hope Baptist Church in the upper right-hand corner of this are both private brick and mortar sites, subject to conflict of interest by whoever's in charge to influence voting. If you do the 5 voting sites, it eliminates. The Governor's Village is that retail old building, right?
Well, it's not retail, it's an office building.
Private ownership.
Right.
So anyway, I just threw that out, and I'll just say again, I'm fully in favor of public real estate rather than private real estate. So
So the way.
Oh, so that would move on to Ted. You would add more on that.
So, yeah, I mean, the way I look at this is that it doesn't strike me, given our coverage in the county with these locations, like there is any to try to find other new locations. We have, we're basically getting 98% of our registered voters covered with these 5 locations, and I think operationally, they work very, very well for us. And I asked the question earlier, whether we get any comments or complaints from folks who are living down in the southeast or the southwest portions of the county, that they have to drive a little further, and again, we don't really.
You have to drive 10 miles for lots of things.
Right.
They're used to it.
I want to say that with the health science center, one thing I discussed with Marvin was to make the process, so people are going to vote, you can add more sites, but they're going to vote what they normally vote at normally. So one way that we're trying to help with the crowds is add a 3rd check-in and another 3rd file station to get people in and out. And we do believe by looking at space and the primary, it is possible. So we're going to give it a try. And hopefully it gets around.
beef up your staffing, do more.
We just do have help desk taking some of the, some people in, and I actually saw that on election day, in some of the precincts up there that are busy. That chief judges had, had cross trained or had help desk assisting. Checking, sped things up. Yeah. Any comments about locations?
We're just a little bit worried about there being a hard press on the health science building. Even with the 3rd desk, that place is just always so jammed on election day or in early voting. I mean, they're just busy all the time. And so, just can't help but be worried that not having that 6 site might be an issue.
Well, we've had the 6 site prior in 24 and 2020, and health science center still had lines wrapped around the building. Because people
They
vote
don't
where they
have no
vote.
choice.
Our goal is to make it faster for the voter, and we have went to the 6 sites, in theory, thinking that's gonna help.
Some,
But logistically, it hurts us with staffing as poll workers. Because it takes, as an econ, you kind of, when you have too much of one thing, a lot of our experienced poll workers are thinned out, and we have a lot of new people at the sites, which logistically is harder. But for a presidential election, we also budget for it. So we already submitted our budget prior with 5 sites. In Governor's Village, I think last time, $18,000 for us to rent 1 month. For that spot, we don't have that. They could amend the budget, add it if needed. But
Let's think about this. How's Science Center? And I think I heard you say 3 intake stations.
if you use the help desk, and utilize it. Actually, Sarah's not here, but Sarah had also suggested that a lot of the poll workers were sending people who need to do an update. The simple update, because they, were inactive. That can be done at a check-in. So that takes away people from going to the help desk. So if we have 3 check-ins and we use the help desk more, so that's 5, four check-ins.
That's what I was gonna say, can you go to 4 check?
4 check-ins, really. And then we have a computer designated to curbside. And then we have 3 ballot stations. Because I asked around how other counties do it. So that's what gave us the idea. So
So when you had that wrapped around the building, was that with 2 intake stations?
it was.
So if you go 4. So that's which we really need to go. It's rock and roll. And then you'll have a lot of stuff. Is that true? Is there not room for 4? Can you squeeze them?
We looked at 4 and Marvin, I believe that it can be done. Yeah.
Well, it's about.
They have a blank space towards the exit. We can move it in there. Effectively, might have like 2 help desks over there. Yeah. You just need to lessen the congestion. Right.
So what about booths? You need to, you may need double
depending on how
booths.
long the ballot is too.
It's got all those constitutional amendments on it.
Because your bottleneck may be the booths. If you get 4 intake stations, you may have people waiting for a booth if it's a long. I guess that we'll have to deal with.
Well, if you speed up intake, maybe you do have that problem. When I've been out there, I haven't seen that as a problem. It's been intake is the bottleneck. So,
Can we spill out into the big wide corridor? Can't go there?
But the students have to come, well, the students, students, something like that.
That's fine.
And that's, you can't put the voting enclosure out there. But if anybody's not supposed to be in the voting enclosure, if the students don't want to do there, that would be inside the voting enclosure.
Well, I'm just free associating here. I'm thinking 4 ballot intake stations in the regular place. And then fill out the voting, booths into that common area where the students walk through. Confiscate it, make the students walk around through the back door or something. I'm just thinking. We can confiscate it. An area if we want.
I think it becomes an entry exit hazard for a fire hazard. When the doors are, you can't. A lot of that.
so we don't have the money for a 6th location to take some of the pressure off up there. So it's a matter of operational and time to make better. Just increasing our take for services.
Well, we'll see how it works. And then we put it in the budget next time. too.
Well, and for the presidential, there will be a
Right,
sense.
but I. That's please.
Well, Marvin does have a, talking about registration totals for 2023-26. Let's pull that up. It has the statistics.
Is it the picture?
No, not that.
This one.
Yeah.
We gotta try it.
Okay, so when you're looking at this in 22, for the general election, we had a registered 60,000 voters. 22, the general November 18th election. Currently, we have 64,000 registered voters. They've enrolled 4,000 voters since 22. And during the last midterm election, we had 65.9% turnout. If you look at the similar situation, 66, 65 are that percentage. So over 142,000 voters is what we can expect if trends continue.
You know, have most of those voters moved to like Chatham. That way the population is, or is it gonna be?
Well, a lot of them moved to
Chatham
Pittsburgh,
Park.
you know, because Broward Chapel was built out. But now,
So Chatham Park will be voting in Pittsburgh.
the DAG Center. We're also going to do
Doing
a
early
check-in stations at the DAG Center as well. Those two solid.
And then, yeah, good one out.
They do, you know, so it's perfect.
So that covers the site issues. Let's move on into dates and time issues. Your packet contains 3 different options that staff put out for us. Really what we're dealing with is Saturday, Sunday voting issues. And then first option on the updated sheet that has 3 options is no Sunday voting with, on either of those 2 Sundays, but with Saturday voting 10 to 3, as has been typical in the past. Second option has the same Saturday voting hours, but only open 1 Sunday, which would be the second Sunday during early voting. And option 3 is sort of a hybrid where there would be no Sunday voting, but the Saturday early voting hours would each be extended by 3 hours, which meant that your early voting hours would actually be the same. You would be subtracting anything. You would be shifting them from Sunday to Saturday. So open that for discussion, Frank.
So Sunday voting is a misnomer. It is fractional Sunday voting. It's 3 hours. And you compare that to 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. on Thursday, they're quantitatively huge difference. So Sunday voting should be termed fractional Sunday voting.
Here's some data.
It's a pittance of time, it's 3 hours.
Some data here that Sarah drew up on Sunday, how many people voted. In 2022, we had Sunday voting for both Saturdays. Both Sundays, yes, both Sundays, I'm sorry. So this was the data from that. And how many people voted on Sunday. And then she did it by the hours and the time. And as you can see, on that second graph.
Did we get a close?
Yeah, you have a copy, you should have a copy.
Oh, it's buried in the back of the. So on this blue thing or the yellow thing with the back. Okay.
Yeah, if you want to zoom in, because it's kind of like a,
So what does this mean?
I think I got that.
There it is, there it is.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Purple.
Distribution of voters.
so we know, well, this right here, that's just hours, what entire day is like normal hours. So it just shows you where our busiest time of day for this is between 10 to 3 o'clock. Is where the busiest.
And then I think she's showing on the Sundays for the 3 hours, you have, how many people voted.
Oh,
Marvin, can you pull up the early voters per hour?
That's it.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
cross hours. What was the other chart?
Oh, you want the other graph?
Oh, okay.
I see.
That all fuzzies out for me.
Well, I see 8 a.m. and what we're talking about is not, something's not open at 8 a.m. What is?
No, it's either noon to 3 or 1 to 4, depending on,
Well, that data was 8 to like,
It was
that was noon to 3.
it was showing that don't many people come at 8 o'clock. Yeah, they usually come,
Oh, wait.
yeah. Yeah, we have very few voters at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning.
That was a Saturday, Dan? Thank you, Michelle.
Wasn't it 8 o'clock on Saturday, was it? Just.
In 2022 it was.
It was?
Yes.
Okay.
Opened it. 23. So that's when we start going to 10.
We were starting to,
That's when most of them start coming. We give them a copy.
You know,
Okay.
thank you. So what's interesting to me about this is that the two purple bars, those are Sundays.
Mhm.
And the number of voters per hour on Sundays exceeds some of the vote numbers per hour on regular weekdays or Saturday. So while it's fractional, as you say, it's doing more business than at some other hours during the week. Am I reading that right?
It's hitting the peak hours, the Sunday peak hours compared to an all day.
So it's 3 hours, only 3 hours.
At least that's what it looks like to me. I don't know, make sure I was seeing it right.
For what it's worth, I did a little hour counting on, the 2022 versus the options that are laid out for this, for this, election. And I counted, 27, what was it, 27 total weekend hours were provided in 2022. Whereas in option one, no Sunday, we're only giving 7. It's
It's 10. I think. 10.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 10 plus 17. When you,
When you do the last Saturday.
the last Saturday, I added the last Saturday, okay. So 17 weekends hours with option one, 20 weekend hours with option two, open one Sunday. And only 23 hours with, option 3 with extended Saturday hours versus 27 total weekend hours in 2022. So in effect, we would be lowering our number of weekend hours with any of these 3 options. What I added up on 2022 was the Saturday and the Sunday hours plus the final Saturday. And I got 27 total weekend hours provided in 2022.
I think it's certainly, I think it's 21.
There's 10 the first Saturday and Sunday,
So I've got,
7 and 3,
Right.
it's
What's
10,
the seven?
and then 10 to the second Saturday and Sunday, plus 7 for the final Saturday. Because it was open 8 to 3. It comes up to 27.
27, 25, I'm just doing it quickly. Oh, you're right.
So 27 in 2022, and you know, we're dropping hours for weekend options in all 3 of these options being offered for 2026. So I don't know if that's a good idea.
Anybody else have any comments?
don't think we should have any Sunday voting. I don't think it's needed. It's hard on the staff to have to supervise things every day, day after day for a long period. And it can be difficult to, get workers for that, so. I'm very open to option 3, if we feel like we do need those weekend hours, so I'd be fine with option 1 or option 3.
So let me ask you a question, Bob. Um, Option three, we added 6 hours from the Sundays that aren't on that option. Would you be averse even to adding more hours there?
I think that 9 to 5, that most people, if they want to vote on Saturday, will be able to find their time between 9 and 5 on Saturday. But I think you just be spreading out the voters and not actually accommodating more voters by extending the Saturday hours beyond 9 to 5. Baseball.
There's only one thing I'm thinking about here, is that humans are kind of a creature of habit. And Monday through Friday, we're 8 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. every day. Saturday maybe should be 8 a.m. to 7:30 also. Then it's a no-brainer. Everybody knows you're locked in, and it adds some time. Well, explain. Well,
That's Saturday. At least we would get to go home if we came back on that Sunday at noon.
Yes, sir.
I support offering at least one Sunday voting option. For arguments that, this board has heard say before. According to the statute, if I remember right, both Saturday and Sunday are optional days. We never seem to have a problem with Saturday voting, but I do have a problem with omitting Sunday voting because of people who work on the weekends, who may be in religious services on Saturday and might like to come on Sunday instead. But there is a Christian bias in that scheduling that omits Sunday voting. I can't deal with that. We do vote on Fridays, we do vote on Saturdays, and we can vote on Sunday. I'm also aware, though, that the state board will do its own will with a contested vote from this board. So we need to be careful about sending to the state board a 3-2 vote on any option.
I would echo Bob's comments about difficulty in the workers for Sunday. I would also point out that giving folks Sundays off for 17 days of voting, staff have a little bit of a breathing in the midst of all this is a good thing. I would also note that Sunday voting was only instituted in 2020 in response to COVID as part of an emergency response. And that emergency response no longer prevails, and therefore there's that reason for having Sunday voting doesn't exist anymore.
That's not factually true. Lori was on the board in 2020. As I understood it, there was a request from some religious leaders in Chatham County who were interested in the concept of souls to the polls, which has been popular in other parts of the country. And, if we opened up on Sunday in response to that, that it was an opportunity for people who were already out going to church on Sunday morning to make as a part of their trip to the polls in the afternoon. I think that concept has not played out as well as we had hoped it might in Chatham, but I was impressed actually to see this chart here that shows the for the hours we're open on Sunday, the turnout is pretty good. Better than some of the weekday hours.
I would like to at least have one Sunday. I would also say that, I believe it's been the policy of the staff that no election workers are ever required or scheduled to work on a Sunday if it's inconvenient to them or, uncomfortable for them, or they just don't want to work on a Sunday. Like, admittedly, it's a little more work for the staff because they have to show up on a Sunday, um, but I think one Sunday, particularly, at the beginning of the early vote season, when there's high interest in voting, the early Thursday, Friday, Saturdays are always big turnout days. People are excited about voting, offering that Sunday would be perhaps a compromise.
That wouldn't be.
It's actually none of
It
these.
wouldn't be option two, it would be just tweaking option two, remove which Sunday it is, I think. That what you're suggesting.
It would be suggesting that, yes, that Sunday, October 18th would be open. Again, just for this 3-hour period. And October 25th would be, I see, this one is this. Sorry, do you actually think, do you think the turnout is better? Oh, okay, then I'll do it that, do it that way. I guess I would go with option 2.
The second week is always busy. The first open week.
Okay, I always thought that, like the first Thursday, Friday, it's people,
Thursday, Friday, yeah,
and that stops.
it kind of slows down. Kind of slows down.
Okay,
That's something that works for you, Bob.
I don't like option two, whichever Sunday is. But I don't want any Sunday voting, my preference. I like option 3 if staff advises us that those extra weekend hours are needed rather than so that 9 to 5 is needed and attended really isn't adequate. Staff's advice is that we need those extra Saturday hours or weekend hours. Then let's support the option 3.
What do you all think about additional hours on this Saturday?
I just know, from experience, usually the times, we've not been open on Saturday long for half of our.
Normally, so the last Saturday is open from 8 to 3,
And it usually dies down after 2.
and so we normally are open 8 to 3 on Saturdays.
Sounds like you run 2 full shifts though, right?
Well, 8 to 3 was one shift.
No, if you were doing 9 to 5,
It's still be one shift. It'd be a long shift, but you wouldn't do it if it's first shift for 9 to 5.
But 8 to 3. Usually because it dies down after 2. I guess people have gotten out and they're getting ready to do other stuff in the afternoon, so it would not benefit to be open at 7:30.
4 to 5.
Yeah.
Do you think there's an advantage to being open at 8 on Saturday as opposed to 9?
Well, it goes to Frank's point about making the consistency, last Saturday, 8
Yeah.
to 3, and then you want all Saturdays to be 8 to 3. Because the law is last Saturday has to be open from 8 to 3, and that's keep it consistent.
And that's the time we're opening all the other days of the week.
At 8, right.
Yeah, but this doesn't say 8 to 3, it says 10 to 3.
But we can switch it. You too.
I thought it was loose.
We're going off the options now, we're filling everything
no,
out.
we're messing around with the hours here.
You're free associated.
Well, if we did, option,
Well, I'd like to propose we consider option 1A, which is the same as option 1, except opening at 8 a.m. on Saturday, October 17th and Saturday, October 24th. Consider that as one of our possibilities.
okay, that would give us 21 weekend hours, which would be down from 27 hours in 2020.
Would they lines up around the block or something? Do you remember? How
No,
that they work?
more just noting that a lot of people have weekday working hours and with having a good option for people on the weekends.
Well, we've been consistently for the last couple of years, having early voting in the odd years on Sunday.
One, at least one Sunday. So in terms of what people are expecting,
I mean, it's, this midterm is bigger than a municipal, so it's just, something that people may look at.
So Bob, your option 1A, that I seconded, I just want to make sure that we've got this right.
I'd like to offer that as a board. We've discussed it, I don't mean to cut off discussion. I'm going to like to move about option 1A, which is the same as our option 1, except the first two Saturdays open at 8, to have a consistent opening time. Consistent with all of the days.
Comment about possibility now.
Hold on, let us get through this.
If you're gonna take the vote, but there's no point in making a comment.
Well, we may take the vote, but I just want to make sure that we've got the motion consistent. So it's 8 to 3 on all 3 Saturdays, correct?
Right.
Okay, second. Good. Okay, Vicki.
Again, just a personal comment, but I think we all know there's a lot of tension in the room because a lot of people want Sunday voting to be available. And I think that, Bob has absolutely the right to vote his ideas and his convictions and all the rest of it. But it's troubling to me if one person is going to make the difference of so many hundreds of voters who, for a variety of reasons, want to vote on Sunday. And I personally just don't think that's right. I think you should be aware of how many people think that Sunday voting reflects a diverse society and people's habits and patterns and how they want to live their lives. And I've also heard said that the staff, it's hard to staff and we don't want to staff and we're stressing the staff. And I've never heard them say that. So that's just a piece of it. But I just want to protest publicly and then you're going to do what you're going to do. But I don't think we should go without Sunday voting in this election.
Thank you, Vicki. To that end, I'm going to.
there's another.
Okay, go ahead.
If you want to look at it strictly as a numbers thing, all hours are not created equal. And when you had the bar graph that Erica liked, the Sunday hours were frequented. So if you actually want more bang for your buck, it's not about the quantity of hours. It's about when the voters come during those hours, if that's what you want.
And I would just read into the record, Erica, for your knowledge, just the comment from Ed Block, Governor's Club. Regarding early voting, please support expanding / maintaining weekend options, including Saturday and Sunday. And voting sites serving traditionally marginalized communities. That's good. Extended comment.
I'd like to, I realize we're in the middle of a possible vote here, but I wonder if the board would consider this evening as a debate on the early voting plan and the vote at the next meeting. Because it was mentioned.
Table.
Because I think Vicky's right. I think there are a lot of people in the community that care about this plan. And it was not clear from the agenda that we would be voting on this, or that we would. I don't think it was clear that tonight would be decision night.
There a second to Lord's motion?
The table, second.
All in favor? So we're gonna then, motion fails,
Did you guys say you all voting?
so we didn't vote yet, so all opposed. So we're back to,
Table.
right, So we're back to Bob's motion that was seconded for option one. Call for a vote, all in favor?
It's one A.
One A, correct.
With 2 Saturdays from him to 2.
Correct.
All three
Well, all three
Saturdays, all three
Saturdays.
Saturdays.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. So that means that our vote goes to the state board for a decision by the state board. That. We have the locations set and the time of the vote. Time and dates of the vote. All right. Moving on. We are, next item is setting the date for the appointment of early voting judges.
Excuse me, for a minute, her comment, I didn't get from
Him.
Thank you.
So it's setting the date to appoint early voting officials, which is going to be done at our July meeting. And Pandora has a letter that she has drafted that will be sent to the party chairs
In the packet.
to the packet. You just want to summarize what the letter says, Pandora.
Yes. Notice of appointment of early voting pursuant to section law 2023-140, SB 747, county boards of elections are required to appoint precinct officials for early voting site other than the county board of elections for each primary election. The session law further provides that county board shall appoint qualified nominees from lists provided by the chair of each county political party if such recommendations are received no later than the 5th business day preceding the date on which appointments are to be made. This letter is to notify you that the Chatham County Board of Elections is scheduled to meet on July the 21st, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. to appoint early voting officials for the upcoming election in accordance with session law 2023-140. The deadline for recommendations to be received by this office is 5 p.m. on Wednesday, July the 16th, 2026. And the following, of course, it gives all the qualifications for the officials, and tells that they have to take an oath. But those are the dates that the names have to be back into the office. It gives them a lot of other information about qualifications of the poll workers and all that. I don't think I need to read that, do I? It said, we request that when you consider making these recommendations, keep in mind the special requirements for staffing early voting sites, which includes the availability, the setup and break down the locations. And of course, the lifting things, it just gives the qualifications. Then it says early voting. It gives them the early voting dates of October 15th and continue through Saturday, October 31st. And then it said we anticipate needing a total of 35 workers for staff our early voting sites. I think that's going to be more workers, so I'm gonna have to change that. About 5 sites, it's going to be more than 35 people. If the party's recommendations are not received by 5 p.m. on Wednesday, July the 16th, 2026, or if the party does not submit sufficient recommendations for each early voting site, County Board of Elections may appoint to serve as judge, chief judge, and assistant registered voters in that county who were not recommended by the party chairs. And if they have any questions, they can reach out to us. We need to fix this.
Now, they can, under the numbered memo, they can actually appoint assistants at a separate meeting, but it's going to be very clear to the party chairs that we want to have them do choose judges and assistants.
Yes, I think we're gonna send them all at once.
Okay, good. That's everything.
Wonderful letter, Kendra, as usual, and it's quite detailed. I was, wondering if there is some way to strengthen. We talked in 2 meetings too, and with the party chairs about election workers making a commitment to actually show up. We had a lot of replacement appointments to make this past year. And I'm wondering whether some kind of statement about a commitment to the work and or not a failure to show up is somehow in the letter.
I can put it in the email, I put it in the email, then when I send the text.
Perfect. Since it goes to the party chair, looks like that would be great. Thank you for
I
taking
will
this.
say that was made very clear to the public chairs when they came in.
I think it was useful and necessary.
Yeah.
That requires compliance.
Right.
Right. So that's the outline issue.
Right. So the last item is this letter to Senator Warren. I'm going to pass out. This is a letter that sent, I don't know, it's not, we just made this before the meeting.
Did we vote to set the date? Of July 21st to appoint Big Brothers, so we actually had a vote on that.
Yeah. So this letter was prepared by.
I don't remember.
It's in the letter, it's in the letter.
We'll
Oh,
the letter.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the letter to the party chairs that Pandora has just discussed.
Is this about expanding the number of days to review provisional votes?
No, that's the next step.
Okay, what was
So Pandora's letter, just to make sure that we formally
Uh-huh.
have approved her sending that letter out.
Oh, yeah.
This is the email about poll workers to the party chair.
Oh, yes, I move we approve that if somebody else didn't already.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Uh,
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda. Thanks for bringing me up short. What I'm gonna pass down to y'all is a letter to Senator Warren, have copies for everybody. That was prepared by the Rowan County Board. Following up on what our legislative day priority was. To expand the time to review provisionals from 3 days to 5 days. And so they prepared this letter, and my view would be that we follow up and basically use this basic letter, modified to accommodate that it's coming from the Chatham County Board. So that number of provisional ballots that we've received, number of precincts that we've got and such would need to be modified, but that we basically send a version of this letter to Senator Warren from this board.
It's Senator or Representative.
I think it's a senator. I know it says representative.
Warren's the right person, obviously. Fair enough. We're sending it to
Yes,
the
who is that person? Who's like the chair of?
chair of the elections committee.
I believe so. We'll verify this.
Yeah. Good plan. Anything to really make the changes pertinent to our county.
I have a couple questions. The first time I've seen that. So this, Dwight Collins, chair of Roane County, is asking for 5 business days to review provisionals rather than 3. So right now we're locked into 3 days. This is like Tuesday night at 7:30 is election night.
Statute.
And then we go Wednesday, Thursday, by Friday, we've got to be done. Friday, Monday, Friday. That's the 3 day interval. So is he proposing Monday, Tuesday, the following week,
Yes.
and the weekend?
Yes,
Monday,
it's
Tuesday.
business days.
Okay, and he cites a couple things here. He says the fifth business day is currently contained in H 958. What does that mean?
That means that they're proposing legislation that would extend the review process time to 5 days from 3. So there's a House bill, it's in the bill, hasn't been voted on.
Hasn't been acted on.
Right.
So what's he asking them to make an end run around that?
No,
he's
urging support for the bill.
Oh. He said, do this.
Right.
And,
A lot of bills are proposed and are never passed. Or even voted on by the full house, they just language. And he's asking that this one actually be passed.
I didn't pick that up. on that.
Yeah, I think that part of it, the letter could be tweaked a little bit to say,
I'll be happy.
pass the bill.
Yeah, that's probably, the closing would be something like, I'll do you pass bill, H 958. Quickly, do it next week or whatever, and, because he just says, thanks for your consideration, but.
Yeah, he should have come back to what he was.
Yes. See, he opens up in the first 3 lines saying it's contained in H 958. And then he goes to all this review, 3 day time limit, all this stuff. And then what is prior to SL 2024-57? I don't,
State law.
That's the provision, that's the law that changed the review period to 3 days. There's a Senate bill.
It was effective for the like.
because we used to have like 10 days.
7.5.
Right, it used to be by canvas.
Like
That's what it's
7.5 business days, I went down to 3. Sort of a clock.
You see, he needs to make it more clear. He needs to say, we had 10 days. And now I appeal to you to get, H 958 passed ASAP as soon as possible.
Easy enough to do.
Needs to be sort of a regular joke and understandable.
Yes, representative.
Do we want 5 days to do this work?
That's what the push has been for coming from the state board as well as legislative day.
We'll be lucky to get H 958, much less trying to get something other than H 958. We want to just support the bill that's out there that has some momentum, not mentioned.
So, Ms. Pasco, you, 5 days would help y'all do your job.
Better than 3.
Okay.
You might have it back on your own, but. We'll take what we
You'll have
can.
a Monday, Tuesday.
It used to go up to, the day before canvas.
Just need that for the people.
It'd be a lot
Yeah.
more thorough.
Carrie Warren, to whom this letter is addressed, is a member of the House, North Carolina House Standing Committee on Election Law.
Just a member.
He is a member, he's not the chair. He is from Rowan County.
That's why. it's sent. So.
Right.
He's
Might make sense.
Who's the chair?
Chair.
So it's-
It's Sherry Warren.
The chair of a committee, there are 2 chairs, Representative Blackwell and Representative Stevens.
Are there 2 different parties? I couldn't tell.
And
He's Blackwell,
is
Republican.
Republican from Burke County. Stevens is a Republican from Surrey, Indiana. They're just like 9, they're co-chairs. Sorry.
It's co-chairs,
Co-chairs.
and the vice chair.
So we probably should say, we're not just dear Representative Warren, but it should probably say, dear blah, 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 comma, chairman of the committee.
Well, no, maybe we just send it to the co-chairs.
Send it to the co-chair.
Co-chairs.
So that it's obvious it's going to.
But we don't have any kind of rep.
So, yeah, I don't know. No, that's gonna be,
One of the elections committees, but maybe he's not anymore.
Picture.
He's not anymore. No, not anymore.
We can
So I
tell
want
them
permission to
what they're
tweak
doing.
this.
Do we need to vote? We need to do that.
Yeah, why not?
And then we're gonna say, generate a letter, similar but better.
To generate a similar.
Go ahead and do it. We don't have to wait a whole month to get the letter on.
Well, the other question is, what's the, times, what deadlines do we have? Do we gotta move quickly or do we?
Better to move
The sooner the
sooner
better.
rather than later. And this letter was dated April 27th, so we're already almost a month.
I was just suggesting, I think it was sort of suggesting, that we copy Robert Reeves, who's our. representative.
Easy enough to do.
Could I just have?
Do we need to vote?
I think we should, I'll move, we send a letter, similar to the letter written by Berlin County. And then adjust the statistics, to our county. And send it to the co-chairs rather than, Mr. Warren. And send it as soon as you can.
Second,
Which is my command.
so who's gonna do the letter?
I am. All right. With that, we are finished with our new business agenda items. And the next agenda item is moving into closed session. For a second, yes, there's a second. All in favor?
Now we have to state why we're going into closed session, that's the law.
Okay, so it's your motion.
Yes, I move that we go into closed session.
Minutes to discuss election security.
It's on the agenda.
I know, and if I could find that, that would be good. Per North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, sections A1 and A9 to approve the minutes of the closed session for April 21st and discuss election security measures.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
the public meeting come out.
No. We make it.
Now we're back in open session.
That on for a moment.
Should I call them to do that?
No.
They're gone.
We're
She
done.
told them that we wouldn't really be doing much on it.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, you made it.
Yes, I did.
Ask them.
All in favor? Aye.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
So I've been doing some typing.
June.